Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would show one last update here to the Star Trek ship, and it's getting really close to being complete. Again, what I have left is mainly some LCDs, but I've been going through all this list of things to make sure it's all good, like Wi-Fi and the gravity and the light sensors and all the little details, and finishing up, of course, all the rooms and tweaking out rooms that needed a little bit more help and things like that, and finishing off hull textures and kind of cleaning those up and looking for any other texture problems or things like that. But most everything is done on it except for some LCDs on the interior yet, including the elevator LCD. So that's going to be a bit of a project. And then I got three new custom LCDs I'm going to have to make here for the ship. So I kind of dread it, but it does need to be done. To start with, I wanted to cover some of the things that were brought up in the last video. One of the topics of the last video was what to do with the space over the hangar. And in comments, there was several different suggestions. One would be to just scrap the room and raise the ceiling of the hangar. Another one was kind of in conjunction with scrapping or raising the ceiling of the hangar, is to add in maybe some kind of landing pad or something on the interior of the hangar, and stuff like that. And I looked around and assessed the situation, and neither one was really going to work out very well. And I'll show you why. Coming into the hangar over here, if you notice, the back part of the hangar is kind of even with the top of the door, just about there. And then once you get through like the back 1/3 of the hangar, the ceiling actually does drop down from there to this level, which is appropriate for the width and everything of the hangar. So above the ceiling here is the big large shield room, large and small shield room, I guess you can say. So I can't alter this. I can't really raise the ceiling there. That room in question is above this area and going out the back of the ship in this area. So I could not effectively come up with any way to add in a landing pad in here either. I have toyed with the idea to add in some kind of thin little landing pad that kind of maybe went across the front of the hangar over here, so you'd have like a kind of a tight slot on the top and bottom, which can work for a lot of the HVs and SVs. But this is also where I wanted to designate a repair bay, one of the two possible places for a repair bay. So there's one over here. Repair console would go right there where that C is, and then there's another repair bay up on the landing pad over here. So you can kind of pick, where you want your repair bay to be, since you can't add more than one to a ship. So if I did have that level across here to kind of park two things, or one above the other, would kind of really screw with the repair bay, because I really want to keep that open and at the front of the hangar. It wouldn't make any sense if it was in the back of the hangar. I don't have enough room on the sides to necessarily put it way off to the side, very nicely at least. So I figured it would be better off at the front of the hangar, and then stuff parked behind there could come in and out without disrupting a repair job in process or whatnot. So as in what I did do with the room, with all that being said, it is a room with some open space in it for sure. It is textured and stuff, and this is going to be a multifunction room. And essentially, in the lure, how I named the room, it's going to be multifunction. And the idea behind it, again, in lure, probably not in anything in reality in playing EGS, but in lure, like if this ship was sent out on a evacuation or a humanitarian mission or something like that, this space would be, you could fill it up with bedding or that kind of stuff for the purpose. And the way the pathing works is anything that lands on this landing pad has like very quick and instant direct access over to this room. Just going down the stairs over there, and then you could bring people or maybe whatever the mission was. So it could be used by special forces or something too. Whatever you're transporting at the time. So as it is, I try to be pretty gentle with the block usage and everything in this room. and it's just kind of a big carpeted open space, like an empty room in a convention center or something like that. So that's kind of what's going on there. And I'm trying to think of other things to address here. One issue that I do have that annoys me, and I tried to fix it, and then I gave up and reverted back. And the problem is, I guess I miscalculated something. I thought these ramps went all the way down to the ground, but instead they're one block above the ground for the main hangar. Um, and then I started digging into the ship, and I was going to build out this area to make it another block row thicker, and then lower down the ramps so they go all the way to the ground. These are the largest ramps in the game, by the way, so I can't like upsize them to make it all the way down to the ground. But then that presents a problem. Well, then the hangar door has got to drop down a square, and the hangar door is kind of all set up to kind of be hidden away mostly by the block work around the hangar door, and that would kind of mess all that up. And then I would have to have some kind of ramp on the inside of the hangar at the level of where the ramps are to bring it up even more, which kind of messes up this part back over here. And it's just like this chain reaction where I would have to change so much around, and it would be uglier in the end. So right now I'm kind of at the choice of leaving it. I don't like it like that. I of course want them to come all the way down to the ground, but I also understand that HVs they won't have a problem getting up this ramp. Typically because you're above the ground anyway, and yeah, this is no big deal to get an HV up in there. So I don't like it, but I don't really have any good, nice solutions, sort of like trying to rebuild like a whole chunk of the back of the ship here to accommodate that, and then try to make it look right again. And so I'm kind of right now just kind of planning on leaving it like that. But please let me know your thoughts on the matter. It's trickier than I thought. I spent like an hour trying to rectify that problem, and then I just kind of threw in the towel and reverted back. I was just like, this is stupid. There's so much to change to correct that one thing. It's not even worth it. It's not like the hangar floor itself can change. It's height, and that's kind of really what would have to happen to lower all that stuff down and keep everything right. You know what I'm saying? So. One other door. These doors here, I'm going to call them space doors only. There is literally no part or ramp or anything I could put here to get you down to the ground from that door. It's way too high up, and there's no block work below it for a ladder or anything either. And if I built out some weird contraption over here to get you down to the ground, it would look really, really stupid on the ship. So I'm just kind of leaving them the way they are there. Now, I'm not so worried about it because you do have the front access ramp as well, and this one does go down to the ground. So it's not that big of a deal, I guess, in my way of thinking about it. And what else can I talk about here? The problem with this update, while I was even worried about this update, is there's like 60 little things that were done, but nothing's like necessarily new, except for maybe a little bit of the texture work in that back room. But a lot of interior rooms have been cleaned up. I want to talk a little bit about an LCD format, and then I also want to talk about the name of the ship. Now, right now, I stole the USS Proxima LCD, basically, but I'm thinking about some other names for the ship, and I think I'm missing some names from past update videos too that I gotta look through yet. I kind of went through a couple of videos and didn't see any names, but maybe I gotta go back further to find some other comments with some ship names in here. Here's some that I came up with, though, and I just wanted to run them by you. And what I did is I lure checked this with Star Trek stuff, too. So, phaser, right? Phaser, certainly a Star Trek word, but from what I can tell from Google searches, the only phaser in Star Trek is the handheld gun, and there's no ships called that. So, it could technically work. Next is Sagittarius, or basically the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Don't believe that was used in any Star Trek lore for a ship name, at least. Also Ganymede and Telestro. I'm probably saying that wrong. It's yeah, Telestro, and Europa. Now some of these have been used in fan-made Star Trek lore, but from what I can tell, not from a like a series or movie or any of that. But a lot of these names have been used in fan-made lore, like someone's 3D model of a Star Trek style ship or whatnot. So I think all these are safe to use for a ship name of a Star Trek and being unique and not like saying that this is a name of some other Star Trek ship that actually was like an official Star Trek ship. So I was trying to avoid that. So let me know if you like any of these particular names for the ship. Um, I'm okay with I think most of these on the list. Probably Phaser's probably my least favorite of the bunch, but all these and like if you don't know like Ganymede and Telestra and Europa, they're all moons either around Saturn or Jupiter. So they're all real words out there. They're just haven't necessarily been used for a mainstream Star Trek ship before. So that's kind of what those names are coming to. When I do the LCD too, I plan on using a 3 LCD setup. So I'm not actually going to use what's here, but like this is a 2 LCD setup, and the whole point of using a 3 LCD setup is so I can make a a little bit more of a broad curve with all the lettering and have it take up more space as well. So it could be a little bit bigger than what's here and be a little bit more roundy according to the roundness of the saucer area that it's around. So that's kind of why I wanted to do a 3 LCD setup. And I can't just willy-nilly do this. I love it if I could just go over there and type in the other name and it just shows up. But no, basically I've got to basically hand place each letter of this and adjust its position and rotation per letter until the whole thing's done, and that's how this is working out. So it's a bit time consuming, and I just wanted to make sure whatever name I picked is going to be final because I don't want to do it a second time, basically. Another thing on the main core of the ship that was kind of addressed as well. In comments, well, my thinking was I kind of wanted to put the main core under a pilot seat, but the problem is there's so many different pilot seats in the ship that there's not, and they're all kind of like internal or set back a little bit that I didn't think in this case that was really going to work out. So in comments, it was also suggested maybe I should put the main core right near the front of the ship, maybe behind a xenoblock. And that's exactly what I did. So I actually put the main core of the ship up in the cafeteria, in the top part of the cafeteria over here. It is accessible here. But in front of that is a xenoblock and then a steel block, and then you're out the front of the ship right in the dead center middle of it. So now it's got a really big shield on it. If your shield were to go down and you're going crazy and still getting hit, hopefully they just shut you down here by taking out this little chunk of the ship right up here where there's no other parts anywhere in the area or anything like that. Just some fluff stuff here, and take out the core and then leave the ship alone. And then you can gather everything back together and get the ship fixed and move on. So I think that's a better idea than trying to embed the core somewhere in the middle of the ship somewhere or in the back part of the saucer down in here. That'll just kind of force the AI to keep on trying to blow away your ship until they kill it, kill the core. And this, I think, would be just a better way to go about a shield-dependent ship like this. I think you when your shield goes out and you're going to start taking a bunch of damage, it would be better if they just took your core out than destroyed half your ship or more than that. Man, yeah, other than that, like everything's done. I mean, the ship is totally functional, is totally ready for game, except for one last little detail I still have to address. I got to swap out all these retractable turrets with the ones I actually want on the ship within reason. So that needs to take place yet too. So I just thought I'd show the ship, and this is actually the first time I had it down in the sunlight for a long time. I've been working on it in space for like the last month, so it's kind of fun to see what it actually looks like parked on the ground and sitting in the sunlight and stuff like that. It does look different on the ground here. Now the lighting in the ship is all on sensors already too, so that's been done. Wi-Fi's been done. It's got really good Wi-Fi coverage. There's a Wi-Fi in the front kind of corners of both sides of the saucer. There's another Wi-Fi kind of down in this area, kind of behind that this chunk here. I did modify the LCD on this as well. That's one other little detail. It's a lot thicker line density than what it used to be by a big margin, actually. So it's a lot bluer and things like that. I think it needs to be stretched out a little bit more to cover the bottom. There's actually some LCD lines here too, but they're just kind of tinted out a lot more. And in fact, this whole thing is kind of a gradient with LCDs where it's brighter in the center, using the alpha transparency on the color code in the LCD to do that. Also, there's Wi-Fi embedded in the front area of each nacelle and the back area of each nacelle as well. So it's basically you got coverage all over the place and around the ship. And I think that part should work out good. It does have another gravity generator installed in the bottom area below the hangar over here, down in this chunk here. So just basically another gravity generator. This is just another one of these kind of rooms that are just kind of vacant in the ship. I mean, this ship has an awful lot of rooms to it, and most of them have stuff in it. But there are a couple that are just kind of like, nah, rooms like that where it's just kind of like, warehouse space, you know. I did detail this maybe never needed generator room over here. It did get a lot more detail too. I added in all this little junk around the sides and some more thingies and stuff to try to make it a little bit prettier on the inside. And everything looks, I think, a little bit better, you know, especially in space, with the lighting where you can, you know, I got broad daylight on right now, so it really changes the look when you look at it at night and stuff like that, and especially in space. So yeah, basically LCDs. Oh! Before I forget, there is one other thing. I started doing some. Yeah, I can't wait to get these elevator LCDs in place. Room names. That's another thing I've been addressing. And I'm thinking I'm going to go with a little bit different way to put the LCDs around all the rooms on this ship. Now, every other ship I've done before, I've always tried to plaster them on the wall or something or above the door. But in this ship, I mean, everything's up in flux. Like, there's no universal place to put an LCD by rooms because all the room entries and everything are different everywhere. The only thing that's consistent is the floor. The floor is always the same in front of every single one of the rooms. So I was like, well, why not try some floor LCDs which I don't think I've done before, actually. So, like, this is one of the ways into the secure bridge. And then if we go down the hallway a little more, like here's the warp drive room over here. So it's consistent, and I can be consistent with the namings around all these rooms. And there's a bazillion rooms, and I'm going to have to put these signs in for, like, I kind of want to put them in for all the rooms. So this is the only consistent, nice way I could do it. As you can see, there's not really a place to put LCDs necessarily around the doors or on the doors, and even the doors fluctuate, and it's like, let me know what you think of that scheme for room names. And I think that would just be the easiest to deal with and look consistent. And to me, especially, you know, if the lights are down a little bit more too, like I can do that since I'm on the planet, I guess. Kind of reminds me of something you might see in like a Star Citizen ship. They got some writing on the floor and stuff like that. So I don't mind it. It doesn't stick out as much as like right in your face, but you can't really miss it when you're walking into a room either, to not know that this is, say, the warp drive room or something like that. So that's one of those things as well. But I'm really happy to get it to this point. Trust me, it's fatigued working on the ship for the last couple weeks. But I just kept on working on it until it was eventually finished. And it's just about there. It's just about there. Everything's just about up to the spec I want it to be at. There's one thing I hate about the lighting and the structural frame blocks is obviously in broad daylight it looks pretty good. But you get in the nighttime and you see some big time discoloration between the structural frame blocks and the standard blocks, and it doesn't matter what colors I pick to try to blend them, and it falls apart when it gets to that. So that is one side effect of the ship. In low lighting conditions, it's gonna look miscolored in a lot of places because of the structural frame blocks. Again, I can't really do anything about that. The only choice was not to use the structural frame blocks, but then I wouldn't have been able to do the shape that's here if I didn't use the structural frame blocks. So, yeah. But other than that, yeah, just I don't know what to say. This has been a lot, and I knew this was going to be a larger project when I started it. I was just, again, I think it went above and beyond the time I thought it was going to take to build this ship. It took longer to build this one than it did to build the Proxima over here, and this ship took quite a while to build too. But this is, I mean, it's so dinky in comparison now. I look at the two next to each other, and it's just like this one's a little dinky little ship, and this one's definitely a bigger ship all the way around. I thought this ship was pretty big too, the Poseidon, but and this one took a while to build too. But my goodness, this is dinky in comparison to this new ship as well. I know they're not right next to each other, but if they were, you'd see that this ship is well over twice the size of either of those, probably larger than both of those combined. In fact, this is every bit as, I would say, the space is different than the Scar Megalodon, but I would say it's about the same interior space, just in different aspects. Like the Megalodon has a lot of rooms, a lot of places in it as well, but the majority of its space was the hangar area, because it was a big hangar that went all the way through the ship, where that's not really the case on this ship. The majority of the space, at least for interior space, is all up in this saucer and this neck going up to the saucer, and there's actually kind of a lot of space in those areas. So it took a bit. Anyway, I'm going to shut up for now, and let me know what you think on names, or if you got another name suggestion. Again, probably tomorrow morning I'm going to try to pick a name and just go with it so I can get this LCD done and out of the way. And I'll probably need to have this name also for the other LCDs that I got to build. So until I settle on a name, I didn't really want to really get into the LCDs. So those LCDs at least. So please help me pick a name for this. Names suck. And trust me, there's some other names that if I didn't use them on other creations already, I'd probably went with that. But it's just, I've used so many of the really cool names that I wanted to use on past creations. I don't want to name this the same name as a past creation. Even if it's different in one way or the other, I still want to kind of keep it unique. But anyway, that's all I've got for today, and you guys have yourself a great day. I will talk to you later.